Back. Best states for van life and living off the grid. $25 rent. Or according to Bridge. Shut up, or according to Bridge. Let's get it. Go.
Are you sick of paying excessive rent? Want to travel? Do you work remotely? Are you retired? Do you want to pay $25 a month rent for more than half the year? If you said yes to any of those, be warned, this video might ignite your wanderlust. And if you're wondering, yes, I did try and make that sound like a travel brochure from the 1970s. With the increased popularity of remote working, van life has become a thing. Throughout history, if you were living in a van down by the river, you were down on your luck, life took a bad turn, and you can't afford a studio apartment above a strip club called Dirty Joe's. That was the old days. Over the last 2 years, I've been researching this for myself. I kind of want to do it, not a full-time thing, but for weeks at a time. I want to do it, not a full-time thing, but for weeks at a time while I travel around the country. If you haven't heard about this life or this movement and don't really know how popular it is, let me explain. There have been around 15 million posts about van life on Instagram just in the last few years, and hundreds of van life channels have sprung up all around YouTube. This is now a legit lifestyle, and many retirees and remote workers are choosing this life. They aren't just living in 1970 Ford Econoline vans either. Class B motorhomes, Sprinter vans, and really nice converted buses seem to be the most popular ways to live on the road like Jack Kerouac in 2023. Today we're looking at the states that I've learned to be the best states to live the van life, and why. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look.
Damn, I keep forgetting to say this shit. Gotta get it good. Damn. Stop sneaking that shit in.
Number 10, Texas. Texas has a lot going for it when it comes to the van life. One, it's got a lot of open space, there's plenty of places to camp, park, and fuel in Texas tends to be a little bit lower than the national average. Weather also plays a big...
My bad for pausing. Now, when it comes to like living in a car, pretty much the same shit, you know. I recommend people to do this. Like, for example, if the rent getting too high and the money not, you know what I'm saying, it's not heavy, you know, you living living paycheck to paycheck, I most likely will do this. Because I don't want to, because one wrong paycheck, you're done deal. You know what I'm saying? So, that's why I say, like, I would probably do, if I was to do this, I would do this for like a year or two, stack my money up. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like, or if you live in the house now and the rent getting too much for you, you probably look for other place to stay. How about this? I mean, leases up. Live in your car, send your mail to a regional address, a trustworthy one, and bro, like your grandma, old granny, you know, she don't go through your mail, she just go pick it up, you know, or grandpa, you know, stuff like that, right? You live in your car for 1 or 2 years, stack the money up. You can even do it for like half of a year, you know what I'm saying? Just stack some bread up so you can find somewhere to go, you know? Because nobody wants to live paycheck to paycheck. Like, the times now we living in, you most likely need more than one stream of income if you live on your own. Because I don't know what's the deal with inflation. I thought this was supposed to go down by 2023. I don't know. I don't know if they just plan or I don't know. So pretty much what I'm saying is, I would do this probably for half a year to two, right? Half of a year to 2 years. Stake all the bread up. And then, you know what I'm saying? And then go find somewhere to live. And besides, this will be fun. Let them go
big part in Texas popularity when it comes to camping. Living in a van kind of makes it easy to explore places you may not have explored for any other reason. One of the best places to do that in Texas is Big Bend National Park. And this is where a lot of van lifers head to in the winter months. Number 9, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a great place to live the van life and camp out for about 7 or 8 months a year. Then it starts getting cold and you probably want to head down to Texas or something. This one's really popular with retirees. Retirees sometimes are drawn to historic places, and Pennsylvania obviously is one of the most historic states we have. On top of that, if you're into fishing, which a lot of van life people are into, I will tell you from my experience in Pennsylvania, it is kind of hard to find an area where there isn't a lake, pond, or river, creek, whatever, that isn't within walking distance. In all the research I've done, Pennsylvania has always showed up in the top 10 for most places to camp, and they're always in the top 10 for best places to fish for van lifers. Pennsylvania has a lot of state parks that are easily accessible and free for campers. Number 8, Arizona. Now this one's obviously for people that don't like the cold weather. Arizona does have some places and it's got some mountains where it can get a little cold, but for the most part, this is a very, very warm and hot state. One guy
Hell no. Now I camped on this type of road. Oh no.
said winter in Arizona is like spring in Michigan. Whenever I mention weather or climate in Arizona, someone always has to bring up the fact that Arizona gets snow. They do. They get some snow, but if someone from Arizona explained to someone from Minnesota how bad their snow gets, they'll laugh in your face. Now, if you're vacationing and you want to camp, you're going to go to Grand Canyon or something like that, but people living the van life show up all over this state, and for good reason. There's a lot of free campsites scattered around Arizona. Sedona, Flagstaff, Southern Arizona. Arizona's a great place for people van life in it on a budget. Arizona is one of the biggest states when it comes to off-grid living. There's a van life festival that goes on every, I guess it's a festival, convention, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But van life and off-grid people come to Quartzsite, Arizona every February. It's like this thing where people are giving classes, showing you how to install solar panels, things like that. It's another reason that Arizona is so popular for van lifers. A lot of van lifers need their computers to work. This place gets great internet from Starlink and tons of sunshine for your solar power.
When it comes to citing sources, details matter. Introducing Grammarly's citations features.
Number 7, North Carolina. North Carolina is very popular because it's just a beautiful state to camp in. You got the Great Smoky Mountains and you got the Outer Bank. So you got ocean and you got mountains and you got everything in between. North Carolina is a beautiful place to live the van life or live off the grid for that matter. As a matter of fact, the Asheville area, mostly the woods around Asheville, North Carolina, are filled with hippies and people living off the grid. The hippie lifestyle and living off the grid sounds very appealing to me if it wasn't for one problem. I need a legit shower, not, taking a bath in a creek someplace. I gave that up when I left the Army. Number 6, Oregon. Oregon, like North Carolina, you got the best of all worlds. You got tons of mountains. If you want to go up there for the spring and enjoy the mountains, then head down to the lower lands for the winter, and then you can head to the coast. Oregon's another one of those states that kept showing up in the top 10 for the most places to camp. And Oregon isn't just all mountains, rain, beautiful coast. They've got the eastern section, which is rolling grass hills with plenty of sunshine. Oregon also has plenty of places to camp for free. There's parts of Oregon where you can just pull off into the woods a little bit and probably not see anyone for a couple days at least, maybe weeks, and that may become more of a thing in the future.
Is that a good thing? No.
I just read how Oregon actually lost population in 2022. They expect that trend to continue.
Damn, what's going on? Oh, yeah. I heard, yeah, Oregon, they wilding up there, man. The fentanyl stuff, crisis. There's a lot
Number
going on
5,
up there.
Nevada. Nevada does have some beautiful parts, but for the most part, Nevada is a desert state. And a majority of the state is owned by the federal government. Not just military and weird places like that. They do have a lot of federal land where you can camp on, and no one's going to bother you. And if you do go there, this is the one that I mentioned in the beginning. You could live for $25 a month for 7 months a year in Nevada. There's this thing called BLM, Bureau of Land Management, and they have...
Hey, this view is beautiful here. But, don't do no crime in this state.
different campsites throughout the western states. I think back east a little bit too, but for the most parts in the western states where you can buy these passes to camp, and it equals out to about $25 a month. Now, for someone that's paying $1,500 a month in some city here in the United States, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. Do van life for 3 years and have a nice down payment for a house. But yeah, it's not all just desert in Nevada. You have the mountainous area up by Reno. You also have other areas that look like the surface of Mars, and you have casinos.
Alien.
Number 4, Utah. Utah is another great place if you want to see some great national parks. Utah is home to 5 national parks: Capitol Reef National Park, Canyonlands National Park, Arches National Park, Bryce Canyon, and Zion National Park. If you want to camp in those things, you gotta, kind of put your name in early, make like your reservation type thing, because those fill up fast every single year. Mostly it's with tourists, not people living the van life. And if you are living the van life and you want to go hike one of these places, get there early, because during the summer and spring months, those trails get packed. Utah's another place that has an overabundance of free places to camp. Number 3, Tennessee. Tennessee is a popular state all the way around. People wanting to move out into the country, people wanting to move into the cities, and van lifers love Tennessee. It's beautiful, plenty of places to camp, and normally outside the cities, it's not like you have to go far to find a place to camp. Like Pennsylvania, they got plenty of places to fish and hunt if you want to. Tons of hiking trails, campgrounds, and the Great Smoky Mountains, which is one of the most visited national parks in the country. Tennessee's another state that's really big in off-grid living. They also have a lot of open land for sale, so if you want to park a nice trailer or whatever on some land, this might be a great place to do it. Number 2, California. California probably should be number 1. I mean, the state is huge.
I don't know. Cali be wilding too now. They rules are wild. They wilding over here, so I don't know.
It's very diverse. They have so many places
Oh,
to
they definitely
stay,
diverse.
things to
Oh, yeah.
do.
They
It's
accept
just
us.
expensive. So that's why they're not number 1 on this list. Gas is expensive here. Camping can get expensive here. There are all kinds of fees and everything else just to camp in this state. It's kind of a pain, but it's huge, it's beautiful, and there's plenty of things to do. I would suggest California for someone living the van life that needs to be close to like the Bay Area or Los Angeles, San Diego. There's places you can camp. It's cheaper than renting a place anywhere in the state just about. It's just overpriced. You could head out to Lake Tahoe, you could camp near Yosemite, head on over to Death Valley, camp in Big Sur, which is kind of
I never helped camp nowhere it start with death. Something
life-changing. Go to Sequoia
no,
National
crazy.
Forest. There's a lot of people doing this in the outskirts of the San Francisco Bay Area.
Which one
and
y'all
Silicon
would go
Valley.
to so far?
Not because these people
For
want.
what I seen, if I had to pick one that I would go to, probably, probably Arizona, y'all. But not like crazy desert.
Want to live the van life. It's kind of a necessity for a lot of them, especially if you're working for a company that's in the San Francisco area. You know, that place where you got to make over $125,000 a year to even consider buying a home, or $250,000 if you want to live in a neighborhood that doesn't require bars on the windows. And in California, those are becoming harder and harder to find. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There's a link down.
Number 1, y'all, is coming up. Who do y'all think is number 1? Put in y'all guesses in the comment section right now. Before we get to number 1, I'm going to go with... I would pick Mississippi. Right? Even though that's my sneaky answer. That's my hidden answer. I'm gonna hide that answer, right? I'm gonna hide that one. The number 1, Florida. I mean, like, what? It's gonna probably be a Dakota. It could be a. Well, they already picked North Carolina. Washington, Seattle. You know, they kind of wild up there too. What is a good one, y'all? What is a good state? Nebraska. It's gonna. I'm gonna get pissed off. Watch this. It's gonna piss me off. Watch
Below,
this.
we'd love it if
Let's
you went
go,
over
let's
there,
go.
watch some videos, and subscribe. All right, on to number 1.
Let's go, y'all.
And number 1,
New Mexico.
New Mexico.
What the? Jinx. 1, 2, 3. Tell me why in my head, something in my head said I was thinking about New Mexico. Somebody had said, "Oh, you went, bro. No, stop lying, bro. Quit lying." Was I was actually. I was.
Mexico doesn't really show up that often on positive lists. In this one, they kind of win hands down. It's beautiful, it's affordable, and that BLM, Bureau of Land Management, they have a lot of lots for that. This is another place where you could survive for 7 months a year on $25 a month rent. Sure, you got to supply your own van or camper or whatever, but for $25 a month, 7 months a year, you could live in one of these spots. You can go from different spots. Your $25 a month isn't for one spot. You can move all around the state. Let's say there's someone there you don't like living around. You could pack up your...
What be the point of this shit right here? Like you know how like we put the edits in the video, you got the most random people. It's like the dude just sitting in the camera just smiling. Nice smile, by the way, but it's like it's so random, bro. It's kind of like
stuff and go to one 50 miles away. Now,
look at
Mexico
him, even tilted, bro. This is that type of shit when a person put a camera in your face and you smiling, and it's like, all right, bro. Like in your smile, you like, come on, bro, get the camera off me now. It's over, you know what I'm saying? But they still
has some
hold
problems, but 99% of their problems are in the
like
cities.
this dude is
living off the grid, living the
it's
van
tired of
life,
smiling, bro.
whatever you want to do, it's going to be pretty safe in New Mexico. One thing I will suggest, almost every single person that I watch or I read about that's living the van life, they suggest having a dog. Doesn't have to be a giant dog. A dog's just a really good idea to have if you're living the van life, especially if you're a young lady, which a lot of them are. If you do decide to do this in New Mexico, everyone says you got to get a telescope. That is one of the greatest things about living the van life in New Mexico is star watching. New Mexico is also an affordable place when it comes to fuel and supplies. The cost of living in New Mexico is pretty low, but plenty of things to do. It's affordable and it's beautiful.
Would I move to New Mexico? You know what? I just might do. I don't hear nothing about it. Nobody talks about it. Nobody tries to, you know. It's like, why not? But hey, man, let's go do it for the vid, man.